This is topic B on page 123, inserting an index.
A cover page and well-placed blank pages add a professional touch, providing a detailed listing of the important terms and concepts in the document, along with their page numbers, will help the reader locate information. In this topic, you will insert an index. An index enables the reader to locate entries you have marked in a document. Instead of the reader paging through the document looking for specific material, the index provides a quick way to find the information. When you use Word to create the index automatically updates whenever the document text or pagination changes. So for an index, remember that's usually at the back of a document. If you're looking for a specific term within the document, it will indicate what page number that word or phrase is located on. So the first thing you have to do in creating an index is to mark your entries within your document. So let's say you wanted to mark every time that house salvage recycling came up in the document. You would select that, go up to your References tab, and in your Index command group, you have to mark the entry. This will open up your Mark Index Entry dialog box, and in the Main Entry field, it will have the text that you have selected. At the bottom, you have the option to mark or mark all. Just marking this individual entry into your index, it will only show this particular page that this comes up on. If you mark all, it will list every single page that this word or phrase comes up on. So I'm going to mark all for this, and you can see it adds some coding at the end of it, right after that phrase. That's just telling you that that phrase has been marked as an index entry. Now, if you want to mark additional entries, let's say we wanted to mark, we'll just do appliances. I'll mark, with that selected, I just click into my main entry field and it will automatically update the text for that. And I'll mark this single entry. We'll do flooring as well. Click into the main entry field to enter that text. I'll mark that. And these are just, simple examples here using what we have. And let's see, anything else? We'll go ahead and mark construction sites. Click into the main entry field and mark that. Now I can close this out. Now my entries are marked. Now I actually have to create the index. I'm going to scroll down. I have an empty page here to go ahead and actually insert my index on here. I'm going to turn my show hide button off. So my cursor is on a blank line by itself. I would go back up to the References tab on the ribbon, into the Index group, and here I have the option to insert index. Now, in your activity file, you'll see something called a concordance file, and that's just an Excel spreadsheet with a listing of different entries that you want to mark. So you'll see how you can upload the file instead of singly clicking on them in your document and marking them. You can also upload a file with all entries. So I don't have the concordance file for this example document, but you will see that in your activity file. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and format how I want my index to look. So first, in this dialog box, before I even start, you see 4 tabs along the top. We're going to be seeing this menu for all of our activities that we're doing within this chapter. And these windows are very, very, very similar. So as we go through this, you'll see this come up many times. So I'm not going to go through each part every single time. But this print preview screen will show you how your index will display. Here we have the option to right align the page numbers instead of having them directly next to the index entry. You can see it pushes them to the right margin of the page. When you have them right aligned, when you have this checked off, you have the option to pick a tab leader. And all that is dotted lines, dashed, or a straight line between the index entry and the actual number. So you can see you can have none with just empty space there. You can have just dots leading up, and it just makes for easier readability going across. So you make sure you line the index entry up with the actual number. So I'll leave the dots there, and then you have the formats for this. Classic, you can see the preview, and this is just how the actual index entry looks. Fancy, modern, bulleted, formal, and simple. All right, so we'll do simple for our index. And you have the option for your type of indented or run-in, or it's kind of just all clumped together. I like the indented form, much more cleaner and easier to read. You can choose how many columns you want displayed on your page, so you can, break it up into multiple columns or just have it as one going down the page. So I'll go ahead, simple, indented, one column, and click OK. And all of those entries now that I've marked in my document now come up alphabetical order. So it's telling me if I look up appliances, that's on page 3. Construction sites is on page 4. Flooring is on page 3. These are all that I all singly marked. And then the one that I marked all was for house salvage recycling. So that's why it's coming up multiple pages for this, because I didn't only mark that individual text selection that I had. So this comes up on page 2 and page 3. So again, very easy way to create an index for yourself instead of actually going and typing it out the long way, which we used to do. I remember creating one when I was in college, and it took forever because these options were not available to us yet. So now we can just mark the entries and then choose our formatting for the index and input it. But again, in the activity file coming up in our next video, you will also be uploading that concordance file to show how you can mark entries using that method as well. So that will be
The next video will be activity 6.2 on page 128.